Hi everybody, in this video I'm going to have a quick chat with you through pensions if you're in your 20s to 30s. I'm doing my content a little bit different this week in that usually I do my questions and answers on a Monday, but this week I've decided to do a series of videos for people aged between 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, 60, etc. And now you're in the 20 to 30 bracket probably if you're watching this video. What I want to say is that last week when I was doing my Q&As around pensions, a lot of people in their 20s are reaching out saying, when do I need to start a pension plan? What should I be doing about pension planning? Now, before we get into a bit of advice for people in between 20 and 30 years of age, obviously there's a difference if you're 21 and 29 or nearly turning 30. But generally speaking, at this age bracket, I don't think pensions need to be a priority. There's a lot of advisors that will disagree with me. Previously, I've also mentioned on TV and different radio stations that the earlier you start your pension, the less of a hill you have to climb as you get through life. And that is certainly true. And I'll take you through a few of those figures and now in a few moments. But what I want to talk about first is the prioritisation. What I think is more important for people in their 20s is to understand their overall financial situation a lot more than they do. So if somebody comes to me for a financial planning consultation or deals with one of the team for a financial planning consultation or even looks for an investment account or a pension account or whatever they want us to do for them, we'll always try and wrap it with overall financial advice and to see where you currently sit financially and look at where you're going to be in the future. This is really important. And the reason being, and why I want to speak to people, I suppose, directly in this age group. I'm going to do these videos for all age groups, but I think there's a real important message for you to learn from people that are in between 30 and 40 years of age. So unfortunately, I've met people in between 30 and 40 years of age that have no investment account, don't have much of a deposit for a house. I've even met some people that are still living at home and they're trying to get their deposit together, but they might have 12 or 13 or 20 grand in a pension fund. I think that's a little bit crazy, and I don't think they've been receiving good advice during their life. I said a pension needs to be as part of an overall financial plan. So what I would like most people in their 20s to have is, number one, a product called income protection to make sure your income is protected between now and retirement age. Because, you know, if you're 20, you've got nearly 48 years until you get the state pension. So there's a long life of earning income to go. So I think protecting that income is way more important. I also think before, and not instead of, but before pensions, you need to have an investment account. So that would give you a lump sum of money. An investment account being left alone for 5 or 10 years will allow you basically to become your own banker, and that you should have a fund of 30, 40, or maybe even 50k by the time you get to your mid-30s. And that means you're probably going to be okay to buy a mortgage or buy a property with a mortgage, you have your deposit sorted. If you want to buy a car, you can do it with cash, change your car, etc., or go on holidays. Whatever you want to do, you stay away from short-term borrowing. And that's really important for people. Now, if you have money left over, and if you want to look at financial planning as a whole and tick some sort of a pension box, well, what you should be doing is looking at a small contribution. I've just done a couple of figures. If you're 23 years of age, for example, and you put €100 into a pension plan, I'll go over the tax relief in 1 second when it comes to pension planning, and you put €100 into a pension plan, and you fund up to age 65, you're going to have, on my notes here, approximately 170 odd K by the time you get to age 65. Is that enough? No, you need more. But is it a great start? Yes, it sure is. Now that great start, that €100 per month, will only cost you €60 to your back pocket if you're on the higher rate of income tax, or €80 if you're on the lower rate of income tax. Because each time you make a pension contribution, if you're working and you're paying income tax, the revenue give you back either 40% if you're on the higher rate of income tax or 20% if you're on the lower rate of income tax. So that 100 quid, like I said, only really costs you 60 quid or 80 quid. But it's not a priority. It's if you can afford it, it's also great to do it because also you've got a really good start on pension planning. Now, what you should be doing is by the time you get to your 30s or maybe 40s is increasing by probably doubling to €200 per month. Then when you get into your 50s and towards your 60s, you're going to increase your contribution to your pension plan significantly. But it's a really good foundation. But I just wouldn't do that before I do everything else. So if you're somebody that's in your 20s to 30s and you feel like you have maybe €300 or €400 spare on a monthly basis and you want to look at an overall good financial plan, I think we could get you income protection, a really good investment account and a pension plan sorted for in and around the kind of €300 to €400 that would make a really good impact on your overall financial situation. Now that's only 100 quid or 50 quid to 100 quid a week, which isn't an awful lot not for some people, but I know it is for others. And this is what I'm trying to get through. If you're in a position where you can't afford it, I don't think you need to worry because you still have 40 years to sort out your pension in some cases. So there's a couple of exceptions to this rule of advice I'm giving when it comes to pensions about prioritisation. The first kind of exception is if you have a company pension plan. So if your employer is good enough or sound enough to pay into your pension plan, you need to bite their hands off, because you're getting free money from your employer and you're getting free money from the tax man along with your contributions. So it really makes sense. The second exception is if you're self-employed. If you're self-employed, every October, you have to write a check to the revenue commissioners for your income tax that was due from your tax on your income from the year previous. So this year in 2020, you'll be making a check for the income you received in 2019. You can reduce that tax bill substantially by paying into a pension plan. Or you just pay the tax bill, pay the money to the revenue commissioners and never see it ever again. So I think the pension planning part is really important. But I have videos on both company pensions and self-employed. So if you're in your 20s, 30s and you have a company pension plan, or if you're self-employed, go check those videos out too. They'll be released during the week. I hope that video has added some level of value and kind of understanding where I come from when I'm talking about pension plans for people in between their 20s and 30s. As always, please like and share. Please comment to somebody that you think needs to hear this message. Any questions, as always, DM me or send me a question to email questions@askpaul.ie. Cheers and have a good day.